Nothing grabbed my attention this morning. It's a couple of hours since I've been up, and I've read my scripture, so nothing's really stuck out. But I have been dwelling on it's the fourth month of the year. It's April, so I've been kind of leaning toward the step 4, and I pulled out the step study books from Celebrate Recovery and was just kind of looking through them and thought, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to sit down and look through previous um, step 4s and see if there's any new ones that I might need to add. So I thought I would go ahead and just put a video out with general, and there may be another one later in the month that goes more into detail whenever I, if and when I do sit down and work through another one. But with it being step 4, as I've said in previous videos, I started out in Al-Anon, and then I went through and found Celebrate Recovery when husband number 2 at the time went into rehab, and I stuck with the Celebrate Recovery. And the Celebrate Recovery has the 8 principles on the Beatitudes, whereas the Al-Anon has the 12 steps. So I'm going to read the principle that Celebrate Recovery has, simply because it combines 2 of them into one, and it kind of makes sense this way, because if you start step 4 and you work through step 4 during the month of April, you can get bogged down and get a little overwhelmed before you get around to step 5. So the principle is openly examine and confess my faults to myself, to God, and to someone I trust. So that is combining step 4 and step 5 of the Al-Anon, AA, NA, the recovery programs that use a higher power. The reason why I prefer the Celebrate Recovery is because it pointed Jesus as God. It pointed God as a higher power, and I firmly believe that's that is my belief. That is mine, and I'm not an expert. I'm just being one that is sharing my experience in the hopes that somebody else can benefit from it. And not everybody's story works out exactly the same, and not everybody's recovery is exactly the same. And as I've mentioned in videos before, I went in Al-Anon because husband number 2 was a person in addiction. And after being in Al-Anon for a while, I realized that I had my own issues that was part of it. That I had codependency, which codependency is a big, huge, broad umbrella that has, and Celebrate Recovery uses it as hurts, habits, and hangups. And this is a chart that sorry, there's a bird that came up to play around in the water out here in the backyard where I'm at. Just kind of, it's good to see the birds flying around, and it's a cardinal at that. But in Celebrate Recovery, it's hurts, habits, and hangups, and it's a broad, it's a huge. The book that I went through has pages and pages. That's just, these are those that I showed you is just a small sample of what your hurts, habits, and your hang-ups can be. That's just kind of a basic, that's a baseline to go to start. But where was I going? It's the bird instead of the bees. Imagine that. Anyway, I ended up after the separation and the divorce, I ended up staying in Celebrate Recovery because I was working on me, and I had children in the marriage that they had their own things. So I was trying to work on my baggage that I had. And oh, you're a loud little birdie. And I went through a step study, and this one, step 4, is we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And the first step study that I went through, I got to this step and I was not ready. I was not ready and to begin unpacking and sharing. And step 5 is we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. I was not to a point where I was comfortable sharing all my stuff with anybody and everybody. And you have to be very discerning whenever you're in a program like that, because excuse me, because not everybody that's in those rooms are in there for recovery. They're not in there to see you better yourself. They're in there to gather information and to cause problems. Because I have had those that I'm pretty sure they were connected to ex-husband after the divorce that kind of popped up in some rooms, and some things was said. So that also goes into the you have to be careful who you share your stuff with. A lot of people like to turn them into bullets and arrows and darts and daggers and knives, and shoot them back at you, or while they're hugging you, stab you in the back. And one of the comments or the rules during my second step study that I attempted was that, number 1, this is your spiritual safe house. So what is said in here stays in here. But you have to be discerning on who you share your stuff with, because yes, the church is supposed to be a safe house, but the church is also made up of people that, in Jesus' name, the church is made up of people that sin and they fall short of the glory of God, and you have to be careful, because you need to make sure that goes into the, let's see, for the step 5. They encourage sponsors or accountability partners. If you're not in a recovery program, it's more of a mentor or a community of believers, or small group. But the way that you can kind of pick and choose, and I ran across this while I was looking through, and it's the role of a sponsor is the requirements under, is the bullets, I guess, under it. But it could be sponsor, it could be mentor, it could be accountability partner. But it is, well, what are the qualities? 1, Does their walk match their talk? That's a huge one. That really truly, that doesn't even apply to somebody that applies to anybody that you come in contact with. Does their walk match their talk? Number 2, do they have a growing relationship with Jesus Christ? Are they seeking Jesus, or are they leaning into Jesus, or is it all lots of birds out here today? Or is it them and whatever they're doing? And number 3, do they express the desire to help others on the road to recovery? Number 4, do they show compassion, care, and hope, but not pity? There's a difference between caring, compassionate care, and pity. I'm not going to go into details into this one. That may be at another time or something. 5, are they a good listener? Do they actually sit and take the time to see you as a person? Or do they hear just enough, and then they turn into codependent to try to fix it? Or they try to one up you? Or they try to, well, you think that's bad, let me tell you about mine. I've been guilty of that. I've done that. Number 6, are they strong enough to confront your denial or procrastination? Are they a yes person, or are they somebody that's willing to tell you the truth? What is the role? 1, they can be there to discuss issues in detail that are too personal or would take too much time in a meeting. Because there are those that just and take up all the time. So you need to have somebody that you can call up and say, "Hey, I need to kind of unload some stuff, or I need to kind of run some stuff by you, and you got a minute?" Or maybe not even a minute, maybe an hour or so, just to kind of. Number 2, are they available in times of crisis or potential relapse? That's huge, because the times when my daughter was AWOL, we'll just put it that way. I'm not gonna, because it's her story, I'm not detailing or anything, but those times that she was out and about and in the wee hours of the morning or mid-afternoon or something, and I was needing somebody to talk to, there usually wasn't very many people that I could find that I could just then and there talk to them. It was usually I left a message, and I may have heard back from them, and then again I may not have. They're there to encourage you to work at your own speed. They don't work your program for you. They don't do what you need to do. Which is why it's so important. And with the support programs, with the recovery programs, and I know I'm my glasses irritate me. But in order to find somebody that you can connect with and that you can relate to, is why it's so important that we share our testimonies, that we share our victories, that we share how we have walked through something and we're out on the other side, or we're close to the other side, so that way those that need somebody to draw strength from, or to get just a little glimmer of hope from, or a little bit of comfort from, they can have an idea of who they can connect with. Because when I did go through Celebrate Recovery, save people, serve people, and you want to serve, and you want to help others, and you want to put forth effort. So I spent a lot of time in the kitchen. And I missed a lot of the testimonies, because in Celebrate Recovery, you have a teaching one night, and then the next week you have a testimony. So it was alternating. You have teaching, testimony, teaching, testimony. Well, I missed a lot of the testimonies, because I never really heard anybody's testimony to be able to connect with anybody, because I was serving, because I was shoving myself out there, and I was serving and doing what I thought I needed to do. I was being a Martha instead of being a Mary. I should have been a Mary, sitting in the testimonies, so that way I could hear the testimonies, I could hear the other people, and find others that I could draw strength from. And you do have to discern how to go about that. And again, who's safe? Because I did find out that when my daughter did come back into when she did start going back into the recovery arena, and she had kind of relapsed a little, I shared that in a group. Well, she told me that somebody came up to her and was talking to her, and I'm not naming names, but that they was telling her, oh, it's okay if she relapsed, and yeah, she was very jaded. She ain't too keen on going back into groups like that anymore, simply because people running their mouth, and you have to pick and choose who you talk to and who you don't talk to. And sometimes you may not have anybody, which is why it's so important that you have that relationship with God, because you can talk to God and you can share whatever to God, but you do need somebody else, because in Ecclesiastes, that's one thing that they did say, they did show in, where did it go? They equated it to Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 12, that having a sponsor or an accountability is biblical. And a lot of times you hear the verses that I'm fixing to read, because it talks about we'll cross that bridge when I get to it. 9 through 12, and I'm reading the New Living Translation, verses Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9. Two people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. That would be the needing to have an accountability, or needing to have somebody that has you back, that's there to kind of help you and pull you back up and keep you going. The 11 is the one where you get the ones in the marriage. Likewise, two people lying close together can keep each other warm, but how can one be warm alone? That one, I hear these verses a lot whenever it's talking about marriage. A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, for a triple-braided cord is not easily broken. I've heard that most of the time in marriage, but in the recovery, and whenever you're walking through something that you're trying to heal from, those are important to have somebody else. And I was walking through something in my last freedom group because I didn't have a job. And whenever we would put the prayer request down, I'd put down, seeking employment, seeking direction on providing an income, and I'd put my name down. No one in that group said approached. There wasn't any concern whatsoever about, well, you know, positions, jobs. Is there anything you're looking? There wasn't anything in that. So that again, you need to discern. And whenever people show you who they are and how the lack of concern for anything that you're walking through, take that for what you see it, and keep moving. Find somebody else. We're out here. We may be few and far in between, but we're out here. But the on the inventory, the step 4, I like because a lot of the step 4, the searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves, on the physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, a lot of my inventory I was looking at as it was all my fault. Everything that I did was wrong. But they have make a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves, realizing all wrongs can be forgiven, renounce the lie that the abuse was our fault. So that's because a lot of mine, I picked up all the negative. I thought I was the cause of everything. And you need to, whenever you're doing that inventory, look at the positive along with the negative. Because as I've said in a previous video, whenever I was in the rehab family group, while my husband number 2 was in rehab, I couldn't think of anything positive. I couldn't think of anything that I enjoyed or so, and that's where having somebody that's been there walk through that can kind of help you and kind of see what you can't see, because sometimes we are our own worst critic, and that has been me for most of my life, because that's all I've been around has been negative. So that's just a little personal with the step 4, with it being the 4th month. And I don't have it all together. I'm just being willing and being obedient to put some things out there in the hopes that it gives somebody else hope and gives them a little motivation to just keep going one day at a time and just do the best that you can with what you've got. And when it gets better, then you improve and you keep going. You just keep moving one step in front of the other, taking a deep breath. Sometimes we hold our breath and we forget to breathe sometimes, but take a deep breath. Just keep moving. Anyway, I will talk to y'all in another video. Y'all have a great day, evening, nighttime, and I'll talk to y'all later. Love y'all. Praying for y'all.